Just in time for warm weather, we just got 100 gallons of propane dropped off. In this video, we're gonna go over how we did the pad for this thing, the underground propane line, and the connection to the house.
Today, I'm getting started with trenching for our gas line, which is eventually gonna hook up to our propane tank. We need to do this so that we can get our radiant heat flooring up and running. And essentially, we are putting our propane tank on the other side of the house over there because our air condensing unit is going right here in this area, and your propane tank has to go at least 10 feet away from that. If we were to go 10 feet away this way, we would be out into the yard, or we could put it around the side, but we're eventually going to attach a building there. And then if we go 10 feet the opposite direction, we would be under our deck, which is also not allowed. So for us, we're going to be trenching, like I said, to the other side over there. It's a pretty cold day today. It's about 30 degrees outside, so we're going to start the trenching using the skid steer with the forks on it, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish the trench by hand.
I saw someone do this on Instagram for digging a potato trench, and I thought it was actually a good idea for any sort of shallow, small trench you needed. As long as you got a skid steer and a set of forks, who needs a mini excavator? This technique certainly beat the heck out of a shovel and a digging bar, especially with how rocky our soil is. Once the top layer was loosened up, Elaina went to town cleaning out by hand with a shovel. The minimum depth for this gas line is 18 inches deep, so that's about how deep we're going. All right, let's see what's going on over here. We got a little gopher playing in the dirt. How's it going?
I have about a foot done. Probably have about 6 more inches left. We softened up the soil or loosened it up a little bit with the skid steer, but then it wasn't super effective, so I've been using the pickaxe and the trenching shovel, and my hands hurt. But it's going well.
Time for me to jump in and help.
Yep, we're trying to get it done before the sun sets, so we have about 35 minutes.
Back on the gas project today, and we are continuing our trench, starting to put the pad together for our propane tank to sit on. We had a few leftover block from the foundation right here, and those are going to be on their side, making about a 2 foot by 2 foot pad. I'll grab some of this dirty stone out of this pile here, what was left of it, and we'll put that down before the blocks, and that should create a bit of a foundation for our propane tank. Say hi, Mark.
What's that?
See what's going on over here, Mr. Mark.
Ditch got filled up.
Thankfully, we've been able to use the single fork setup here on the skid steer to help do our trench loosening anyway, and the actual hard digging, and then from there on it's just cleaning it out by hand with the shovel. No more excavator for this project, unfortunately, but luckily it's not a super long or super deep trench we got to dig. Alrighty, well, I think that at least gets us started off as somewhat of a level pad.
Any more of that stone over there on top of it, or?
I think what we'll do is get these things kind of settled, and then we can add a little bit more stone around it to sort of. Also, we're gonna have to be digging right up to it also, so I don't want to lose a bunch of stone in the trench.
It ain't that fine stone, or this would be good enough.
It settles real bad, so I want to keep something pretty sturdy for this thing. Yeah, stone dust is good for protection, but oh boy, does it settle. You never want to put it under like a patio or something like that. Your patio stones would settle forever. Yeah, I'm thinking that can be the back corner, because I got to leave a little bit of room for the masons to work too.
Do eventually maybe it's put like a wood fence or something around it.
Yeah, I will.
So it isn't like.
Yep, I'll build some sort of shroud around it eventually, up against the house probably. This will be our back corner.
Pretty good.
It's surprising.
Oh my.
Looks like we gave a little home to a mouse with our block that was sitting out on the pallet. They've got this thing totally packed full. Looks pretty darn comfortable. Once we had the pad location set, we could dig right up next to it to place the riser. At this point, I hadn't bought the rigid pipe that's going to connect to the elbow coming out of the house, so I wanted to eyeball how long exactly that needed to be. We're ready to lay our gas line in our trench here, so we're going to get this thing uncoiled. This is 1-inch IPS pipe. The kit comes with these cool steel risers with IPS pipe bonded to it, and then you use compression couplers It's a couple of the two. So a compression coupler at each end, and the kit also comes with a piece of 14 gauge tracer wire and a piece of yellow tape to make sure you don't dig through your gas line. We dug down about 18 inches for this, and we're gonna put some stone dust on top of it as well to bed it all in. Coming up off each end of this will be our black steel riser. So again, continuing at the 1 inch, and we'll have a 3-foot section of pipe coming from this to the house, and then the final propane tank connection will be flexible. It's January 30th today, and the temperature is like 52 degrees and sunny. This is like literally the best weather I've ever seen in late January. Unbelievable. This is like t-shirt weather. All right, Mark, let's roll this baby out. I've learned recently with uncoiling stuff, the best way to uncoil is to like roll it out rather than try to just like pull the two ends. Not sure why I didn't think of that before. When I was uncoiling a spool of Romex wire, I just like kind of like just pulled it out of the bag. That is a bad move. Whereas if you just let it gently uncoil, then it's good to go.
How much did this cost?
This kit was $250 roughly.
Okay.
I think after tax it was right about $250.
Where'd you get it?
HomeDepot.com.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, not something that they carry in stores, but they do a lot of drop shipping out of warehouses and stuff, so gotten quite a bit of specialty stuff through them, honestly. Like not even Supply House had this kit. I was pretty happy to find this. Came with all the parts and pieces you needed. We could actually connect one riser to start with, so we have kind of our starting point.
Might be a good thing, and then in a controlled environment, you're not down on the ditch.
Yeah, not getting dirt all up in the connection. So let's do that. We do need to keep in mind that we have to snake it underneath that pipe. We might want to actually snake it under there first and then do this riser. Snake it underneath. Huh, it actually seems to be holding a lot less curl than I thought it was going to. Not too bad. Okay, yeah, let's get our riser over here connected. Wise person once said, always read the instructions. Oh, they couldn't make this any easier. This is awesome. Cut the pipe square, insert stiffeners. That went right in. It did not go into this one as easily.
All those tools, and you're using it.
Level, mallet, same thing. 3 threads exposed, and then use this flange as a witness mark.
That's almost the bottom of that pipe. That black.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. I'll do the same thing over here with my riser. Birds are chirping. Feels like April out here. They say it's recommended a wrench is used.
But don't over tighten.
They say it's recommended a wrench is used, but then they also have a channel lock pliers being shown here. Well, when in doubt, read the directions, as they say. No force. Yep, that makes sense. So let's get this clocked right. Got to go until this nut touches the flange, is what it says. So we got a ways to go yet, but let's just mock up the rest of it, because I definitely don't want it sticking up like that.
I think it's partly that bend in, that permanent bend in there coming in.
I wonder if I can get my heat gun out. Just getting it a little bit warmer, I think, helped it relax. And I guess once we bed it in stone dust, we'll be golden. I think by the time we grade that out, we'll be about 18 below. Close enough. This thing is gigantic. This channel lock isn't even big enough. Maybe I just got to get it just right. Just wanting to twist the pipe. Come on now. Okay, I don't want to strip all the threads off this. I have a pipe wrench. Maybe that'll do it. Literally just bought this pipe wrench from Harbor Freight last week. I've already used it a ton. And it just barely goes wide enough for this darn thing. Here's it does the trick. Okay, it is touching flange. Next. Okay, that seems good. I don't think it's putting any excess pressure or anything. I'm gonna put I guess a couple shovelfuls of stone on this just to keep it down. Yep, I think it looks great. Alex and Mark's gas service. for all your gas plumbing needs since 2023. We're gonna wait till we have the rigid piece of pipe coming down here to cut this other end of length. We'll get the end prepped, get it all bedded down. Just don't want to cut it too short and then be regretful later. Something I wanted to do before we permanently connected the gas line was put a piece of metal Z-flashing in that goes between our siding and stone veneer, and then put a flat piece of 1x8 PVC trim board. That gives us a flat surface to mount all of our utility room penetrations through, including our AC disconnects, our hose bibs and outdoor outlet, and a bunch of other penetrations. I thought this would be cleaner and easier than having to drill through siding later. And before the first course of siding, I'll put another piece of flashing above this board, so that way if I ever need to drill through in the utility room again, it's already flashed. A few days later, our local propane company surprised me and dropped a brand new 120-gallon tank off. This should be plenty of capacity for our tankless water heater and our gas range. Okay, I think we are about ready for the second riser here. You can see behind me, the propane company dropped the tank off yesterday. They have an awesome deal. They just own the tank. They drop it here for, I think it's like 125 bucks, and I don't have to pay anything up front. I was thinking about buying it. I'm glad I'm not, because it was $1,000 to buy one of those things. Don't really want to mess with that if we're not going to keep it long term. We might go underground eventually. So I'm going to be using 1-inch black iron for this connection, and I'm sure some plumbers out there are probably rolling their eyes because black iron does rust outside. It's totally approved, it's fine, but you can use galvanized too. The key is with either of these pipes is just painting them. I'm gonna put a coat of white spray paint on this, but you can see even after just one rain or so, it's already starting to rust. The reason I didn't use galvanized because I read the zinc coating sometimes can flake off the inside and clog your pipe orifices. But I just want to dry mock this up first, see where this thing lands. That way I can put my riser in the right place and cut my pipe to the right length, most importantly. Only got one shot, one opportunity to cut that pipe, and I don't want to do it too long or too short, really. Got to bring it down just a bit further. This piece here is called a union and allows two pipes to join without rotation of either pipe. I literally can't see this pencil at all. Sharpie in hand, much better. It's a freaking horsefly here. That's when you know it's getting warm out, when the horseflies come out. Good gravy.
What really happened on that Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death? The f*** is that? Shit!
If you don't have one of these ratcheting pipe cutters yet, you need to get one. If you do any sort of pipe cutting at all, even if you're a DIYer, this thing has been a lifesaver in making square, clean cuts super easy in otherwise very rigid pipe, including PVC. Hey, and look who arrived. Didn't even know they were coming. Although the volume of this tank is 120 gallons, you can only fill it 80% full of propane, so it really only holds 100 gallons of liquid propane. To make all the permanent connections, I used a few wraps of this thicker gas Teflon tape and then coated that with blue pipe dope, and that seems to do a really good job at sealing up these threaded connections. Before I started this project, I never knew what pipe dope was, and good gracious, is it a lifesaver for putting pipes together when you don't want them to leak. Love this stuff. A little bit of gas tape, a little bit of pipe dope. Should be sealed up on the first try, for lucky. I know many plumbers will frown on this, but in my very limited experience with unions, I've found that just a little light smearing of pipe dope on the mating surfaces really helps seal them up. I know in theory you shouldn't need anything, but I feel this is just a cheap, easy way to make sure it doesn't leak on the first time. Another key to leak-free unions is making sure the pipes are totally in line. The nut should be doing nothing but clamping the two together. If it's trying to straighten the pipes out, it's probably going to leak. That's a wrap on the outdoor connection. Next week, we're gonna paint this, backfill it, do our pressure test, and do the inside connection. The main purpose for this gas, aside from our cook stove, is to heat our water, which heats our slab. If you haven't seen how we did our radiant slab, check this video out.